I told you guys in my last video that Showcase Issue 4, where the Barry Allen incarnation of the Flash debuted, contained 2 Flash stories. And yes, you read that title right, he's already time traveling. So today we're going to cover The Man Who Broke the Time Barrier. A series of strange thefts plague Central City. One morning, this guy Henry Brown is shaving his beard when suddenly his razor is launched straight out of his hand. Some other guy's car generator pops out, so of course he reports it to the police. Barry hears of these strange robberies, and just as he's pouring chemicals into a beaker, it's swept up right from under him. Barry spots the thief escaping his lab, so he presses his old ring and suits up racing after the thief. The thief spots Barry and, using a gun, shoots rings of intense heat. Barry spins to extinguish them, but the thief used the rings as a distraction to escape. We later learn the thief's backstory. His name is Mazdan. We learned that he was a criminal from the future who, for his crimes of theft, was sent in a time capsule which was meant to land in the 50th century, a desolate planet, but it malfunctioned, marooning him in the past. Using a magnetic rod, he stole the items necessary to propel the capsule. Now he sets his sight on gold in order to strengthen the capsule's shielding. Kinda reminds me of Abracadabra without the fancy magic, and his backstory is similar to CW's Reverse Flash. Mazdan shoots his ring gun at the bank and prepares to enter. An officer reports him. The police sergeant describes the perp's gun at a debriefing. Barry overhears this and instantly recognizes the criminal. Flash instantly arrives on the scene. Mazdan fires his gun, but Flash realizes that the center of the ring is the coldest, just like the center of a flame, and so he runs straight through the flame, running the criminal to jail. Mazdan calls his cell primitive with obvious tricks up his sleeve, even though they stripped him of all possessions. He has special contact lenses that magnifies a light's heat, causing it to melt the cell's lock. Wow, this guy is all about heat. I'm surprised they didn't call him Heatwave. Flash even says, "My foe seems to have all sorts of mastery over heat." During his escape, Mazdan obviously takes the confiscated gold. Flash is able to track Mazdan by his gun's increased heat. His trail literally gets warmer. Flash tracks him through an interstate and past a bridge. As Mazdan is about to close the capsule door and head back to the future, Flash arrives, pulling him out. "Let go." "Well, of course, fine, sir. I'm sorry for invading your personal space." He really thought that would work. Mazdan explains his issue and promises that once he leaves, he'll never come back. Flash realizes that the blast from the capsule would create a massive burst of energy. Mazdan explains that it would create a crater at least 10 miles in diameter, which would obviously kill a lot of people, which Flash points out. Mazdan shrugs it off, as it will only kill a few thousand.
Forgive me, but to me you've been dead for centuries.
No wonder this guy was sent to a desolate Earth. He's a maniac. Flash instead goes the safer route and decides to bring Mazdan to the future himself. Flash says, not with his super speed, but by traveling close to the speed of light. But I mean, he can only do that with super speed. Mazdan and Barry disappear into, quote, the mists of time. But they encounter a time barrier which Flash describes as running on a treadmill. But Flash easily breaks through. I'm not sure about Mazdan. That guy looks like he for sure got hurt, as the Flash pushes him into the future. Keep in mind, this is basically his first appearance. This and the first story released at the same time, and he's already time traveling. Flash returns him to the police. The cops send him in another time capsule, but they're sure that this time it won't malfunction, and he'll end up in the right time period. Weeks later, a coworker of Barry mentions that the strange robberies have stopped. Barry remarks that the thief must have been caught and is serving time somewhere. It's funny to me that Flash time travels in this issue so casually, and nowadays it's a big deal. And I love this issue's usage of science and Mazdan's tricks. Now we're going to discuss the first story in the next issue, Showcase Issue 8, titled Secret of the Empty Box. A big fog covers Central City. Eventually, strong winds end the fog. But after it's gone, a mysterious 3 stories high box appears near the bank at Central City Square. As the police check the box for explosives and prepare to open it, Iris West arrives on the scene, realizing that whoever placed the box used the fog to conceal its placement, wondering for what purpose. Her and Barry apparently have a date, which Barry is of course late, 15 minutes to be exact. On Barry's way, he spots a crying girl who dropped her ring in a sewer vent. He attempts to use a string to reel the ring out, but that doesn't work, so he vibrates his hand, bending the bars, making just enough space to retrieve the ring. When Barry finally arrives, Iris roasts him. Late again? What is it this time? You stopped to tie your shoelace? Barry, you're so slow, next to you a turtle is a jet. Iris tells Barry about the box and that the whole city has gathered here. Iris leaves to see if the cops made any progress opening the box, as she is covering the story. Barry believes the brain behind the operations placed the box there as a diversion. Barry suits up in a photo booth that takes pictures at 100,000th of a second. The operator realizes that the Flash changed in there, attempting to obtain a picture of the Flash's identity, but it doesn't matter. The photo isn't able to capture him changing, but merely a mirage. Flash searches the whole city, eventually hearing an explosion at a jewel company, identifying the explosion to be on the 12th floor. Flash runs up the side of the building. Flash enters the building just as the thief makes his exit to the roof with the stolen jewels. Flash is unable to open the locked door to the roof, so he vibrates his hand through the keyhole, breaking the door. Running after the man, the robber attempts to flee on a high wire. The criminal is confident and mocks the Flash. Too bad you don't have the experience to walk across a tight wire with nothing but 20 floors of space under you, Flash. Ha ha. Flash treads the wire slowly and carefully. The man is so confident in his wire that he decides to just stand there. The wire's support gives out. Flash almost falls. But what do you care? You're doing so well. You don't need a wire under you. Ha ha ha. Then, he jumps onto the other building, running up the wall and apprehends the man, who is apparently stunned even though that he knew the Flash would catch him. Maybe if he actually fled the scene, he could have gotten away. But Flash could have easily caught him anyways. Meanwhile, back at the Central City Square, the police finally open the first box, but inside there's another one. So the police get to work opening it. Barry returns to Iris, asking for a cooked sandwich, and while she waits for the second box to open. Barry believes another robbery would take place. I don't know why. I would assume the crook would probably have the police distracted long enough to commit multiple robberies, hence multiple boxes. But sure enough, even though Barry imprisoned the criminal, he's out robbing an armored truck. He flees using springs in his shoe to propel him in the air and plans to parachute down. No biggie. Flash just runs in circles, creating a downdraft, bringing the criminal to the ground. It turns out that the criminals were twins, and in their cell, they continue to laugh. Barry returns, and Iris wonders where her sandwich is, continuing to berate him. I see you still haven't left for my coffee and sandwich. Oh, Barry, you're the slowest human on Earth. But it doesn't matter. They just opened the second box. You've plenty of time. This thing's like a nesting doll. Dolls with multiple dolls inside. They refer to it as a Chinese box puzzle. Barry's about to search the city again, but he realizes that the nearby bank is probably being robbed. Flash enters the vault, encountering a third twin, who reveals himself to be the true brains behind the operation. So you finally figured out my Chinese puzzle box crime blueprint, Flash. Ha ha. He uses a live wire suit to prevent Flash from touching him, laughing as he electrocutes the Flash. You can't touch me, Flash. Even if you have caught up to me, and my live wire suit will help me blast my brothers out of jail. I planned it all. Every step. And you can't stop me. Flash prepares to use an insulator to grab him, but gets a bright idea. Throwing bank coins at the thief, draining his voltage. He planned for everything except for coins. Barry returns empty-handed, which annoys Iris, but reveals the third box was open, and inside was a tunnel into the bank. Barry and Iris head off to dinner, and that's it. I enjoyed the creativity of this story and the running gag of Barry returning empty-handed. The next part is the coldest man on Earth, so stay tuned.